Our first guest today, this evening on the Newshour Special Edition is Cabinet Union Minister for Minority Affairs, Najma Heptullah. Good evening, Miss Heptullah. Good evening. How are you? And many, many congratulations.
Good evening. Congratulations, but I still don't know that you have given me Minority Affairs because Narendra Modi ji has not given me that yet.
Well, that's what we heard. That's what we heard. We'll know the official list soon enough.
I mean,
don't tell me you don't
might have
know.
Heard.
Don't tell me you don't have a clue, Miss Najma Heptullah.
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Because the prerogative of giving the portfolios is that of the Prime Minister.
Yes.
If Arnab Goswami can give, I don't know.
Well, Najma Heptullah, that's a good laugh. But tell me, Ms. Heptullah, when you were there, we'll wait for the final announcement on your portfolio. But when you were there being sworn in today, and you have taken in you've held so many key appointments, you know, from the United Nations level, you've been Deputy Chairperson Rajya Sabha. It's a big political comeback for you. And some people said that one interesting thing is that what Mr. Modi has signaled is that you don't need to have been in the BJP for 30 or 40 years to be a cabinet minister. Because you are a recent entrant into the BJP and you've been taken into the cabinet. Do you see that as an important political signal?
I have been 10 years.
Yes, you've been 10 years. But
exactly 10 years.
What is the political signal, in your view, Ms. Najma Heptullah, of the whole swearing-in ceremony and of the 44-member cabinet, not just about yourself? What is the message that Mr. Modi gives out in this team?
No, I think it was Mr. Modi gave a very positive message because I am looking at things from the point of view of a woman. A very large number of women have been sworn in senior position as cabinet minister and minister of state. And I think this is a very, very, very positive signal. When CNN International lady asked me last week, there is nothing much in the manifesto about the women in BJP's election manifesto. I told her many political parties have written a lot of things about women and others about in their manifestos, but they remain only writings. They don't see the light of the day. But Narendra Bhai will do it, and he has done it. He has taken so many women ministers and very senior level. That's a very good indication.
There's no doubt about that. More than 25% women represented in this ministry. I think that's very, very important. I completely agree with you on that. So, Ms. Najma Heptullah, we're going to continue the conversation, but GVL Narasimha Rao joining the panel as well as Randeep Singh Surjewala. Before that, let's quickly go across to the team. Let's get Sabha in because she just joined the panel right now. Sabha, you were there out there.
Yes.
What was the big take? You were also there when Vajpayee was sworn in.
Yeah.
In the forecourt of Rashtrapati Bhawan. What's your key takeaway? What's the message he's sending?
This was huge compared to when Vajpayee. It was a very modest affair. It was in the morning. It was the first BJP-led government, and that it was a coalition.
Yeah.
And at that time, everybody was looking to see whether Jaswant Singh was not. He could not swear in Jaswant Singh because the RSS had put his foot down. We could all take our cars in. Yeah. It was a very, very small, modest affair. Yeah. This was huge affair. It was very hot, Arnab. We all had to sit there for hours in the heat. But it was fascinating. And the timing, as the lights sort of settled in, the timing. You've got good views on television, I'm sure. It was, for me, as a takeaway, what I went away with, there were also a lot of very familiar faces who were getting sworn in. People who one knew from the Vajpayee regime, Ananth Kumar, Uma Bharti, people with histories who all of us know well. Then came these sort of Smriti Irani getting sworn in as a cabinet minister.
Surprise.
That's when I sort of said, okay, this is getting interesting now. And Nirmala, I was personally, whatever it is, I'm just happy to see so many women get sworn in. That's significant. Whether we can call it tokenism, and let's see their policies, what happens in HRD. Because HRD will be a very, very key ministry. It's very, very interesting because that's where the RSS has an agenda with curriculum and so on. And Smriti is not an RSS entrant into the BJP.
She's not.
She is a woman. She's an actress. She's a woman. She's a good political performer.
Plus Modi trusts her.
Now she's been given HRD. To my mind, that's interesting and intriguing.
Yeah.
And it was not one of the information that I had. And I was pretty right about a lot of things which, but not this. I was completely caught unawares by the HRD thing.
Yeah.
So that will be very, very interesting to watch how that works out.
I think a couple of takeaways here. I mean, from my perspective, one is the small cabinet fact. The second is that, in my view, it shows a lack of dependence on allies, which we've been talking about here on this panel. And the second fact is that it's loyalty over electoral victories.
Yes.
It's loyalty over electoral victories, and also the fact that you're not necessarily going by a straight Rajasthan got us 25 seats, so we need to give 5 cabinet ministers from Rajasthan. It's unconventional thinking.
He doesn't need to do that.
For the next 4 years, there is no action in Rajasthan or not. They've just had a state election. They've delivered a central election. So he's concentrating more on areas which still have to go to polls, like Bihar, like Maharashtra, Gopinath Munde getting a big berth, also Shripad Naik getting a big berth, and of course the Shiv Sena getting the berth for Anant Geete.
No, see, the fact is that Rajasthan, Uttarakhand, BJP swept the state, but representation is not necessarily equal to political performance. What comes across to me, and Randeep Surjewala, welcome to the panel, GVL Narasimha Rao, what comes across to me is that he's separating his political team from his governance team. Is there agreement on that? GVL Narasimha Rao, why don't you open it up, and then we'll see if Mr. Surjewala agrees with you on that.
You see, while choosing his council of ministers, I think Mr. Modi, the entire media knows how over the past 4 days and even during the last week, the amount of discussions that have gone into. I think at the end of the day, the idea is to choose a council of ministers that can best deliver his dream of India. He has promised to the people of India, and it was a mandate with him as the prime ministerial candidate of the party. So the selection of the team is a combination of several factors. The suitability, competence, experience, regional representation, social representation, and states where party has a phenomenal presence, and states where party does not have much presence.
No, Mr. Rao, many people don't agree with that assessment. They believe the thinking is different this time. It's more performance-oriented and individual-oriented rather than politics-oriented. Meghna Desai.
Absolutely.
I think...
Meghna Desai is a different term. Listen to him, sir.
This is the first time you can say that a management expertise like a team has been constructed. And another important thing is what allies have been given are relatively minor ministries. So they are there, but they are not going to make the major decisions.
Let's see how the Congress party looks at that, because that is what actually weighed down the UPA for all these years. Mr. Surjewala, you see what Mr. Modi has done is what you couldn't do. Obviously, you are more dependent on your allies. Mr. Modi is less dependent on his allies.
Arnab, first of all, it's a day for rejoicing the democratic process in this country. Mr. Modi has a clear mandate. It's his prerogative to form his team. He's formed it. As a citizen of this country, I would have been happier if an important portfolio like defense, and I'm sure the portfolio list is still not out, but whatever your channel has been showing, was given its due importance instead of clubbing it.
Why do you feel it is not?
I know that Mr. Jaitley is very able. I would also say that many disjointed ministries have been clubbed together. I am sure Mr. Modi will proceed to correct them in days to come.
Okay.
So when we speak about maximum government slogan, I think we need to really replicate it by distributing work in a fashion where it is not concentrated in a few hands, however able they may be.
Okay, we'll keep it moving fast. I'm going to get reactions. Interestingly, the Congress party says today work has not been distributed well. Smriti Irani, good evening. I think you're live with us right now, aren't you? Good evening and a very big congratulations to you.
Good evening.
Good evening. There you are. Well,
Thank
Smriti,
you. Thank you, Arnab.
many congratulations. And from all of us here in the studio,
Thank you.
were you surprised to get a cabinet berth?
I'm quite privileged and honored that I was deemed fit for such a huge responsibility. Did I expect it? No, I would be lying if I say I did.
So it's an unconventional decision, Smriti, to give people like you who have got proven experience but not the years, you know, an important portfolio. We were talking about it, and people say in the United Kingdom, people become prime ministers by 40, and I don't see any reason why she shouldn't get a cabinet berth. But some of our panelists here are raising their hands. I think, you know, you're very much in demand today, and we'll take the questions first, order of seniority. Vinod Mehta and Meghnad Desai want to say something to you.
I don't think there is anybody in this team which deserves more to be a cabinet minister than Smriti Irani. She has all the qualities. She's articulate, she's young, she's entering into the ministership with a completely blank slate. I think she is the kind of minister India needs because she's pragmatic and she will do an extremely good job. So Smriti, best of luck from me.
Flatterer.
What can she do for me?
Well, that's Meghnad.
I mean,
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. Quite gracious of you.
Smriti, Nirja wants to make a point, and so does Lord Meghnad Desai. Let them have their turn, please. Yeah.
First of all, many congratulations. We are very happy. 25% women in the cabinet.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Modi has delivered on giving more representation to women, and what is even more important, women this time have not got just soft portfolios.
That's true.
They've got HRD like you, MEA, water resources, commerce. So we are even more pleased about that.
Well, I think you're getting a round of compliments, Smriti.
Thank you so much for the compliment, but well, it's rare for me to receive such nice comments on Newshour, but I'm normally at the receiving end. But I would like to extend my gratitude towards Nirja ji on your channel tonight. But I would like to make a little correction, ma'am. Portfolio, as far as I'm concerned, is still not being particularly highlighted for me individually. Hence, for me to comment upon the portfolio that you declared would be extremely premature.
Well, Smriti, in case you're missing the political debate, we have Randeep Surjewala, who has already made a rather caustic comment on the distribution of portfolios. He's not happy, he says. Mr. Surjewala says that as far as the distribution of portfolios is concerned,
congratulations, Smriti ji, for being the youngest cabinet minister in the cabinet. We are all happy to see younger people. I also wanted to point out that as a citizen of this country, we would have loved to see many more young faces, and I'm sure Prime Minister will like to correct it in his next expansion.
well, I took that point. The point I actually drew from what you said, Mr.
I am not able to hear Mr. Goswami, Mr. Surjewala's comments. Hence, for me,
well, two quick comments which we should get a reaction from. One, he said he would have liked to see more younger faces, right? And the second point he says is that he hoped a ministry like defense would be given its due importance. He's not happy with the fact that it's been clubbed with finance, as we hear.
but she doesn't know now.
Like I said, no specific announcements have been made by Prime Minister Modi. Hence, it's very premature, in fact, illogical of Mr. Surjewala, with all due respect, to make a comment on any kind of distribution without anything being publicly announced. I do understand the angst that Mr. Surjewala expresses on your channel tonight. It's possibly a reaction to the loss of the Congress party, which for him must have been a challenging time. I will only say this, that as a Bharatiya Janata Party Karyakarta, today is a joyous day for us. It's a day of vindication, and I would not want to make any caustic comments back. I did catch only one word from Mr. Surjewala, which was a congratulations, and I thank him for his grace and his kindness on your channel tonight.
Well, with the diplomacy you're showing tonight, you could be foreign minister, Smriti. Meghnad Desai wants to say something to you, and so does Navika. He's had his hand up for a while. Go ahead.
Narendra Modi has had the ambition of having 100 IITs, 100 IIMs.
Yeah.
If you are going to be the HRD minister, that will be a big challenge. Have you thought about that?
She doesn't know.
She's
going to duck that.
Can we ask a question?
Like I said, it's premature for me to comment on a responsibility which has not been earmarked yet.
Okay, no,
Let me say this, that whatever vision Narendra Modi had, may I? whatever vision Narendra Modi has highlighted vis-a-vis any segment or sector in this country is a vision that shall be fulfilled through collective responsibility of everybody. Like I said, let me reaffirm that I have not been given any specific portfolio, hence for me to comment specifically on anything Lord Desai would be extremely illogical right now.
Well,
let's hope you get it.
Well, 1 second. Navika has a question and Sabha also wants to make a point. Let's take both together. Navika first.
Smriti, everybody's congratulated you. I've congratulated you on the phone, so I'll just go straight as a journalist does to a question. The question really here is that Mr. Narendra Modi has reposed a lot of faith in the younger lot as far as this cabinet is concerned. You're the youngest cabinet minister, but there are several others like Nirmala Sitharaman, Piyush Goyal, Dharmendra Pradhan. Do you think the nimble-footedness and the decision-making, quick decision-making is going to be one of the reasons why he wants these younger ministers in his cabinet in key portfolios?
Yes.
I think it would be wrong to presume too much on behalf of Mr. Modi, specifically with regards to the decisions he has taken as Prime Minister. But I would only say this, that though I might be chronologically the youngest comparatively to my colleagues like Ms. Sitharaman, organizationally my life has been quite extensive and quite long. I don't think age has been a factor vis-a-vis a formation. Again, I'm presuming on behalf of the Prime Minister. I will only say this, that this is a very unique amalgamation of women, youth, experience, and this is an amalgamation of people which have come together to ensure that the promise of good governance and development is delivered upon.
Well, Miss, one observation I have here, and I know you'll go by the written script, is Miss Smriti Irani is speaking as per the written script. She's the practice spokesperson. She will not speak out of line. And I'm not taking names here today. Those who extended their briefs in the last 1 week, assuming what the cabinet would look like, did not end up entering the cabinet. So Smriti is that way, quite a practiced politician. Will take.
I will only say this. I will only say this, Arnab, tonight, that you have very unsuccessfully tried to bait me and I haven't fallen for the trap. But I would like to tonight publicly acknowledge the opportunity I've been given to deliberate and debate on various issues on Newshour. It is, I think, a huge part of my career can be attributed to the fact that I have deliberated, discussed and even fought with many a guest on your channel and many others. So I'm grateful for that opportunity.
No, I think you're being very kind, Smriti, but I think eventually a person's talent and ability shows. One last point.
I know the knives are still out, and I'm sure you have 5 more years to. I'm sure you'll use them for the next 5 years to make your point come through.
Oh no, well, yes. we still want you on our political panels. We'll talk separately about that. We hope you don't avoid the Newshour panels because our viewers will miss you if you do. Sabha has one point to make to you.
No.
Sabha.
Hi Smriti, if you remember, for all our differences, if you remember, I predicted that you would put up quite a fight in Amethi, if you remember that. I said so to you also in one of Arnav's programs.
Yes, right.
So if you remember that, you do remember that, right? I have a question. You know, you're probably one of those entrants
from... That's why I'm Smriti. I have a long memory.
Good. No, you're one of the outside entrants into the BJP who, if this HRD thing is true, who's rising to this phenomenal level, also with your background. You know, usually you had Shatrughan Sinha, Vinod Khanna, they don't get prominence. Here is a woman from outside who's not coming from a strictly political family or anything, who's getting that prominence. So, I mean, so if it is indeed HRD, which was the special turf of Mr. Murli Manohar Joshi in the last NDA government, which some of us have covered, so it would be fascinating. So Smriti, my question to you is this, that it is being said that you are now the new woman leader of the BJP, that you are the woman face of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
I think it would be extremely unfortunate and unfair to say that I'm the new woman leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We are still blessed by the presence of Srimati Sushma Swaraj. We have a formidable leader in the name of Vasundhara Raje. I'm extremely blessed that I've been sworn in on the same day as Uma Bharti ji. And I think that Sabha, what is fascinating for me is that after Arnab, you tried to unsuccessfully bait me. I will only say this, that I don't know how you define the term outsider. But I will only say this, that that to be given such a huge responsibility at such a young age is something that I'm extremely honored by. I will only say this, that again, I will reiterate that no specific portfolio has been given, but whatever the responsibility, given whatever capacity I have, I shall ensure that I deliver.
Yeah, well, Smriti, as I thank you, I also want to say this, that we here on the Newshour and Times have enjoyed our sparring, our conversations, our fights and our debates. And I think there are a lot of people out there, you know, in a country of 100 million young new voters who would really be not just happy but be thrilled to have a cabinet minister in their 30s. You know, leave anything, any politics aside. To have a cabinet minister in her 30s means you have so many decades of public life ahead of you. All the very best. Congratulations, Smriti. And don't lose that smile in the ups and downs of governance. Thank you very much. Smriti Irani there. Fantastic.
Well,
yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Smriti. Thank you. Thank you. That's Smriti Irani. Well deserved there, you know. And I think it is fascinating today that in our politics, we move from dynasty to unexpected political you know, stars who emerge out there. And I think one of the things about Smriti has been she's worked her way up. That's quite interesting.
The dynasty part, or no, I'd like to make 2 points. One, Vasundhara Raje wanted her son Dushyant Singh to get a berth in the cabinet, didn't get one. Anurag Thakur, son of Prem Sangh Dhumal, wanted a berth, didn't get one. So there's a statement that Yashwant Sinha's son also has not got a berth. So it's a statement as far as dynastic politics is concerned.
You know, Delhi's politics has been used to a certain format. You're somebody's son, you have a better chance. You're from this caste, you have a better chance. You're from a bigger state and from the appropriate caste background, you have a better chance. And Hartosh, let's draw you in on this. Even political formulations have been on the basis of this thinking, which frankly is not in sync with what young India wants out there. So this risk or this approach of Mr. Modi, can it become a blueprint for other parties?
Certainly. See, expectations are high. The cabinet lives up to some of the expectations that have been put on Mr. Modi and the government, which is why it is important for this cabinet to deliver, because the judgment will eventually lie in how well it does.
I agree with that. Yes,
Irani represents the bold new face of young India, and her biggest point, from what I can see, is the fact that she is non-ideological. She seems to be a pragmatic kind of person who will rise above ideology. And that's what the young people want.
I think we should go back to that debate we just left, because we were at a point when Mr. Surjewala made a point. I think we should let GVL Narasimha Rao respond to that, and then we'll see where it goes. Mr. Surjewala actually, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, he actually was in a very nuanced way critical of the centralization of portfolios. To what some people in the BJP are celebrating Mr. Narasimha Rao, Mr. Surjewala says, no, important portfolio is not being given its due importance. I mean, I'd like you to respond to that. Equally, it can be said, Antony held sole charge of defense, but he did precious little for the last 3 years of the UPA. But anyway, your response to Mr. Surjewala, and then we take it forward.
I think, as we all know, what portfolio is given to whom is the prerogative of the Prime Minister, and he, in this scenario, unlike Dr. Manmohan Singh, who had no accountability to the people of the country, Mr. Narendra Modi is directly accountable to the people of this country. He fought a presidential kind of a contest it was. The people have huge hopes from Mr. Modi. So I think it's best left to his own judgment as to who is suited to what kind of ministry, who can deliver in what kind of a portfolio. And I think I would like you to please not consider certain ministries or certain departments to be less weightier compared to the others. I think every ministry has a mandate to perform. And the kind of promises that Mr. Modi had made, the manifesto that the BJP has, I think every ministry will have to perform to its potential to be able to give an optimal performance. I think Mr. Modi is a super performer, and he knows how to get his job done. From every minister, he has the experience of both governance and politics, and therefore I don't want you to see this as a ministry formation bereft of any political idea. Mr. Modi, for all you know, has been hugely successful as a political leader, and therefore I think he has done a mix of everything.
No, Mr. Surjewala can respond to that in detail, because I noticed that it was not a sharp criticism, it was an observation that he made out there.
Yes.
So let's get Mr. Surjewala, I'm going to come back to you. We keep this discussion and debate going between you and the BJP, but I'd like to welcome Prakash Javadekar. I'd like to welcome Prakash Javadekar right now, if he can hear me. Mr. Javadekar.
Yes, sir. Yes, I can hear you.
You can hear me. You can't see me.
Yeah.
You can't see me, but you can hear me. Many congratulations, Mr. Javadekar, on getting
thank you.
On your inclusion, Mr. Javadekar. Now the buzz is that you're the Information and Broadcasting Minister. What are you hearing, Mr. Minister?
And environment and forest.
And environment and forests as well.
My commitment to both the causes are important. I went in jail for 16 months to preserve press freedom.
Right.
My father was a journalist, vernacular journalist of 50 years standing.
Right.
And I have learned by heart the journalism from my childhood. And therefore, freedom of press to me is very sacrosanct. Second, more importantly, and I see various changes happening in the whole media, and I welcome many changes, and we can work it together. It's a team. Media and government can work together. Second is, environment is my passion, because environment, we have a global organization of more than 500 MPs of 80 countries. It's called GLOBE. I am the president of the Indian chapter, and I know very certain that environment, poverty is the main disaster for environment, and therefore we have to eradicate poverty. To that end, we will have to ensure growth, and that which will be balanced, which will not destroy the environment, but which will not, environmental consideration won't become the impediment for the development. So both can be achieved, environment as well as growth.
Well, one thing I just
there are many discussions now.
That's a very significant point, Mr. Prakash Javadekar.
One quick point I just want to ask Mr. Javadekar at this stage. Mr. Javadekar, you were, what many people don't know about you is that you were one of the first spokespersons of the Bharatiya Janata Party in the television age when Vajpayee was in power.
Yes.
Right? So you have a long equation with the media.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a more straight question today, since you are the next INB minister and you're literally confirming it? So there has been an apprehension that will the Modi government be open to criticism, for example? And you know, Mr. Javadekar, that the UPA government tried to use the instruments of government to clamp down on the freedom of the media when a process of criticism started. I and all journalists today across the country want to know from you, since you're the INB minister, will you A, be open to criticism? Second, will you open up the media and allow the media to grow as an industry, both editorially and in terms of being an industry? What will your approach be, which will be different from what the UPA did?
See, I will not get into all the policy prescriptions right away, but my basic reaction is, yes, we are open to criticism, because that is the healthy democratic tradition. And I believe that criticism makes institutions perfect. But I also hope that we will work as a team, because it will be a constructive criticism to improve upon. And everybody has a right to tell the government that this is what is going wrong, you improve it. And we'll definitely be accountable and will be improving upon.
All right, now, you see, you are my man in demand right now. I know you have got limited time. For what's it? First of all, do you have another 5 to 10 minutes?
Will there be no vendetta? I hope there will be no vendettas against the media.
What's it?
Mr. Javadekar.
Mr. Javadekar, Vinod Mehta. Let me moderate this. Vinod Mehta, everyone wants to ask the next INB minister a question. Vinod Mehta, editorial chairman of Outlook, is asking you a question. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that there's great apprehension that the Modi government, there will be some kind of campaign against the media, especially that part of the media which was allegedly against Narendra Modi. I hope that we can have an open relationship And the past where we have criticized you can be seen in professional terms rather than a personal attack on Mr. Modi
Point
or
taken.
personal attack on...
Let him reply. Let him reply.
Vinodji, first of all, I must all share my joy and your hopes also in one go. More important is, see, the press freedom is press freedom. There is no alternative to that freedom. And that needs to come. So criticism and everything is okay. Otherwise, people are the best judge. They take decisions. And therefore, as we know, if it is a constructive thing, people accept it. Otherwise, people don't accept it.
Okay, Mr. Javadekar, Navika has a question, Ajay Bose has a question, Sabha has a question. So you'll have to give us time. You'll realize, Mr. Javadekar, that we are very pushy with the INB ministers. Okay, Nirja also.
My question is to the Environment Minister, Mr. Javadekar. This is Navika here. Congratulations to you for a very unconnected but a dual charge that you've got. The question is $7 billion worth of investment stuck in the pipeline. You just mentioned some time ago that fast growth and environmental clearances is something that you will put your emphasis on. Is that the reason, you know, I mean, there has to be a significant collaboration between the Finance Ministry and the Environment Ministry, but where does that leave the environmentalists, you know, when you get on to take these decisions?
See, I am also from the environment movement. We want to save the earth. We want to make this earth living and everything, water and forest and whatnot. So it is everything important. But while we want to keep environment alive, we want to keep people alive. And therefore growth has a place. So I have participated in various negotiations and I don't want to go into details. But I have seen and keen observer that we can arrive at a solution which fits India's needs of growth till 2040, something like that will come up.
You know, Aarti wants, Sabha, you took a question last time. Can I go to Aarti, please, with your permission? Aarti Jairath has something to ask you. Go ahead, Aarti.
Mr. Javadekar, congratulations, first of all. And secondly, one of the hallmarks of the new Modi cabinet is the creation of super ministers, where some ministers have been given heavy-duty portfolios, 2 or 3 of them. You, for instance, you're one of the super ministers in this cabinet. How do you think that will work? I mean, you have 2 portfolios. Arun Jaitley will probably have 2 or 3 portfolios. And Ravi Shankar Prasad has 2 heavy-duty portfolios. How will that work?
I think if you have a method, you can definitely work. And that should not be a problem because you have an able team and we will go ahead with it.
Okay. I'll allow one last question here. One second. Ajay Bose said you can ask both your questions directly. Ajay Bose and Sabha.
Firstly, congratulations. But returning to the environment, a lot of environment groups are concerned that somehow environmental concerns will be completely steamrollered in a mad rush towards development, particularly in mining, in a lot of places. Now, how are you going to cope with the concerns? How are you going to reassure the environmental groups? Do you plan to have a dialogue?
I think he broadly answered that.
Plan to have a dialogue?
He broadly took that.
See, let me tell you, I'm not going into the specificities today. I will have meetings with the officers. But the issue is, let me tell you, that when we are talking of development versus environment, that is not really the factual situation. And as far as these environment groups are concerned, we can make team. India fails in lobbying in world environment debate, because government and NGOs work in different directions. We can work together on many common causes.
So you're going to build bridges. The one last question there.
Prakashji, Sabha here, congratulations. And I want to say that Prakashji is the most soft-spoken and the least combative of many of the BJP spokespersons. So the fact that he's got INB is itself interesting. But Prakashji, what I want to ask you is, that do you think Narendra Modi has always spoken of less governance. Is there need for an I&B ministry? What do you think about that? When you talk about media
he has said...
Yes.
He has not said less governance. He has said maximum governance and minimum government.
Okay, so is there need for an I&B ministry? That's what do you think about that?
I'll not today answer of the department unless I review the...
Okay. So Mr. Javadekar, you will support good, honest, straightforward journalism. You will be open to questions. You will not try and throttle the media industry.
Absolutely.
And big congratulations from all of us to the next I&B Minister and Environment Minister, one of the longest serving spokespersons.
Arnab, gentleman minister.
A gentleman minister. Vinod Mehta doesn't like to pay compliments too often. He calls you a gentleman minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me. Look forward to seeing more of you. That's another interesting face out there. Prakash Javadekar. Kiran Bedi with us on the debate. Opening up the debate once again. Now, Kiran Bedi, thank you. Sorry for keeping you waiting. And I thank both you and Randeep Surjewala for your patience. Kiran Bedi. Now, Randeep, Mr. Surjewala, please don't think I'm only taking the critics and not letting you have your say. But Kiran Bedi, Randeep Surjewala said here he's not happy with the over-centralization of ministries. He would have liked to see separate ministers look, for example, at defense and finance. He's not happy with that. As someone who's been a bureaucrat, do you think that's a good or bad idea? I want your response to Mr. Surjewala, please. Go ahead.
It's a very interesting question you asked me in the afternoon. I tweeted, I'm witness to departments being created, ministries being opened, just to promote IAS officers and bureaucrats. I tell you that. I'm saying it with a sense of absolute responsibility. I've seen PSUs being opened, ministries being carved out only because to clear stagnation. And ministries and promotions. I can tell you that. That is not going to happen now. I think what is happening is you see a very close trend towards effective coordination. What was, I believe, lacking in the past government. And therefore, when you have effective coordination and functioning secretariats, you do not need more ministries and PSUs and departments. I think we should give it a time. What was needed in this country was effective coordination, which is coming by this. So therefore, I would not be scared that if 3 departments have been missed. On the contrary, it's seamless. Then transportation is seamless. I would like to see some more. I would like to see some more in agriculture, if you ask me, or in water and environment.
Some more centralization,
because agriculture and food. Sorry?
Some more centralization, you mean? You would like to see some more centralization of portfolios?
I would say more clubbing, not centralization. There is no word centralization. I would say clubbing. Clubbing to make it seamless. Transport is seamless. So if you're looking at seamless work, and with an effective leader like Mr. Narendra Modi, and with secretariats working, and with the secretaries taking responsibilities for implementation, I think you will run much faster.
Mr. Surjewala, does that reassure you? You've heard her, you've heard Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, and you also heard the others. Are you reassured now with the way they are looking at things? This could be a new start.
Well, let me begin by congratulating Kiranji. Now BJP is in power. And criticism of the Congress that you are doing today may be justified, but I think we need to move on from today onwards towards the consolidation work that the country has been promised, and Congress will provide its constructive support. Having said that, I was only pointing out that as a citizen of this country, over-centralization of portfolios in one individual, something that Mr. Arnab Goswami pointed out just now, centralization and clubbing of portfolios, that they become so top-heavy that the entire work of governance remains in the hand of the few, while the distribution of power or utilization of talent sometimes also does suffer. But I said maybe Prime Minister would correct it in his next rejig of his cabinet. That's the short point
why would you be? You know, it's going, Nehru had 15 ministers.
From being a hawk,
Nehru also ran the country. Nehru had 15 ministers. You know, and in 1957, the Council of Ministers had 12 cabinet ministers, 14 ministers of state and 12 deputy ministers. That's 26 plus 12, 38.
I completely agree, Arnav, but we don't live in those times now. We live in 2014.
But it's a different approach. Mr. Rao wants a rebut very quickly to that.
Biggest economy of the world.
It's a difference of approach. It's a difference of approach. Kiran Bedi raises her hand. Ms. Kiran Bedi, I'll come to you, but after Mr. Rao, please. Yeah.
You see, combining or clubbing ministries for the sake of synergy should not be seen as an attempt to centralize power. This is only to bring about more efficiency. And Union Council of Ministers is not an employment generation program that you need to have a large number of them to accommodate a group of people. The people expect you to run an efficient government. People expect you to deliver on your promises. And if you can manage with a smaller cabinet, it will be certainly appreciated. And I can tell you for sure, most of the prime ministers who had this jumbo cabinet would not have recognized half of their ministers if they met them in the corridor. I think a smaller cabinet certainly allows you to function in a more cohesive
one second,
manner.
Mr. Rao, Hartosh Singh Bal is asking you a counter question. Hartosh.
Mr. Rao, the real question here, which is being raised over and over again, is what is the synergy between law and telecom, I&B and environment, defense and finance? That's the real question. That's why we are debating this issue.
That's the point.
No, you are not talking about, there are many other cases, like power and coal have been brought together. If I take the portfolio that you have
Mr. Rao, let me explain this. You see, one second, Mr. Rao. Nobody, Kiran Bedi, would oppose a leaner government, right? But the question people are asking is this centralization in individuals or is this centralization in roles? What Hartosh is asking you is that I hope it is not centralization in individuals. That you agree with certain individuals, you find them capable, and hence you give them completely disparate ministries that may have no relationship with each other. Kiran Bedi, that's the concern. It's like, for example, if you as a top IAS or IPS officer were told to do an IAS officer's responsibilities and a foreign service officer's responsibilities as well. You know, these are disparate roles. You may be a great individual, but you have a limited bandwidth and time on your hands.
Arnav, what I see in this cabinet today is a two-tier cabinet. I see 6 key ministries in 6 key trusted hands or experienced hands. And then comes a second tier, which may be mentored, which may be trusted, which may be given a chance to come up with through talent, but learn and experience and groom for the future. I see a two-tier. I see 6 key ministries in 6 key hands. Yes. And then this below the 6 key, I see new talent, new faces, probably not experienced but talented and representative. I think I see a grooming, I see a mentoring coming for the next 2-3 years, which is very good for Indian democracy, which had probably not happened. In the past government, you had many ministers of state who were all complaining that they are not having any work, but they were there. So I think you're seeing a new beginning, but time will tell to pass a judgment.
Well, that's interesting. One moment. Therefore,
doesn't answer Hartosh's question.
No. What it does answer, Ajoyda and Aarti, is the point here that what they are saying is that there are tiers of ministers. This is exactly what we've been saying. We said Troika, we said Jaitley, Rajnath, Modi, and probably if you want to expand it, Sushma, to some extent, Gadkari, for example, and maybe one other minister out there, maybe 3 or 4 ministers who centralize political power. Then there are others who have cabinet rank. Then there are others who have independent rank but the opportunity to grow. For example, Piyush Goyal does a damn good job where he is. As MOS independent charge, he can be promoted later. Isn't that a very corporate way of doing things? That you don't give a person everything at the start, but you give a person a role?
It's a managerial approach to cabinet making. For the first time, we have a managerial approach.
Agreed with that?
No, Arnav, the point is, if you club surface transport and shipping together, it still makes sense. They are related ministries.
Yes.
But when you're putting finance and defense, that's not consolidation. That is actually giving 2 heavyweight ministries to one person.
But I think there's a difference. That's the trust factor, and that's the trust in the performance ability of these individuals. And also these individuals who can then be guided by a central person who is the Prime Minister, who guides with a roadmap to all of these younger ministers, especially the independent charge
But that does mean that Mr. Modi will take on a lot on himself, but that's the way it is.
But he is a hands-on guy.
That's the point. That we have a hands-on Prime Minister rather than a hands-off Prime Minister like Manmohan Singh.
Arnab, not only that, you've also got a few key people who he trusts getting a lot of work. That is very clear. And I don't want to get into the trust quotient is very visible. There are a few individuals. I don't really want to get into names and who's been undermined and who's been overplayed right now. But that's very, very visible.
Cohesion at the top will help.
Very, very visible.
Cohesion at the top will help, says Sabha.
Even Manmohan Singh had 10 small ministries besides being Prime Minister. Narendra Modi hasn't taken any smaller ministers. He is
we don't have the full list yet. We don't have the full list yet. Nirja, we don't have the full list yet. Nirja.
He might well keep it.
I think, you see, he considers some ministries more important than other through which he wants to further his agenda. That's where he's put the ability of performance, like Arun Jaitley, and trust and loyalty. A combination of those.
I fear that for all of Mr. Modi's talents, for all his ability to have 6 balls in the air and hold them all, I'm afraid that he may be taking on too much. He's the Prime Minister of India. He has to look after the Council of Ministers.
Well, you know what
he has to then supervise individual. I think this impulse to delegate is not missing, but is somewhat downplayed.
Now, what I find most important, as a journalist, I want to underline, for me, the headline of the last 50 minutes is the new INB minister says, I will not question media freedom. We will be open to criticism. We will not clamp down either editorially or in other ways on the news media industry. Now, if he lives true to his word, I'm happy he said that.
The proof of the pudding is in the eating.
But Vinod Mehta says proof of the pudding will be in the
eating.
I'll take a break.
It's never the politicians really who clamp
down. They never say it. But we'll take the debate forward now. How much can he deliver? How centralized can he get? We're going to come back on the other side with more on that.